In what has been one of the longest, coldest, content droughtiest eras in Battlefield history, DICE has finally and unexpectedly announced some good news regarding the once beloved franchise. With the continual disappointment of Battlefield 2042's content delivery and support, I know I'm not the only one who has gone back to older titles to get my true Battlefield fix. Like a dependable addict always returning to his increasingly degrading dealer, DICE has me captured with this series and I just can't seem to get clean. While I mostly alternate between Battlefield 4, 1, and 5, the one I experienced the most frustration in trying to play for a while now has been Battlefield 5. The worst part is this frustration isn't due to any massive flaws with the gameplay itself or the systems DICE developed for their previous entry. In fact, I'd argue that Battlefield 5 has the most mechanically interesting game designs, unbelievably cool and well done sound engineering, and some of the most immersive and fun gameplay of any entry in the series, making it, in my mind, likely the most underrated game in the franchise. Not the best game, mind you, but definitely highly underrated, as I really appreciate so much of what DICE was trying to do with this game, despite the many missteps and initial backlash. No, the frustration in playing Battlefield 5 in recent years, on PC at least, has been the blatant and unaddressed cheater problem. To say there's been an epidemic of hackers in this game is a bit of an understatement. While there have been some community-run servers that have tried to combat this issue, it's really been the lack of a formal and official response from DICE that has made a real solution to this problem essentially non-existent. DICE really hasn't opted to try and solve or engage with this problem at all, either through ban waves or implementation of any kind of anti-cheat. Battlefield 5 was nearly unplayable on PC. However, finally, here comes the good news. DICE recently announced the coming arrival and implementation of EA's anti-cheat to Battlefield 5 in 2042, beginning on April 3rd. This is actually massive news for a title that is now regarded as a solid, if not flawed, entry to the Battlefield franchise. If this anti-cheat is as effective as I hope, I see myself returning to Battlefield 5 much more often, as it, again, is some of the most genuine fun to be had in an FPS game in the past few years. Battlefield 5 did so many things right that it makes the things it did wrong stick out so much more harshly, and as a result, be judged more harshly by the community at large. I'll be the first to admit the reveal, launch, and subsequent support of Battlefield 5 was extremely poorly handled, and as bad as it was, sadly, it was just a sign of much worse things to come in Battlefield 2042. The difference between the titles being that Battlefield 5 had, in my opinion, an incredibly strong foundation to build upon, as the majority of underlying gameplay systems were really good and solid. As seen in the amazing Pacific content drops seen at the end of the game's life cycle, it really was the aesthetic and nature of the content that brought the game down so much. The movement, shooting mechanics, time to kill changes and reverts notwithstanding, the destruction, the audio design, the glorious soundtrack, some extremely impressive visuals, the table was fully set to create one of the best Battlefield games ever made. While sadly this wasn't realized, of course, there's still a nugget of a game to be enjoyed here, and even more so now that hackers will hopefully be dealt with. Let us pray to the gods old and new that this anti-cheat actually works, because despite the major missteps early and often in community interactions, marketing, and game updates that irreparably damage the player base, Battlefield 5 has actually managed to maintain a strong player base even now, over 5 years after launch. And what really hurts the most is the lost potential of this entry. I've made videos on it before, but that's what stings. With 2042 getting yet another lackluster season and inexplicably continued support, it more than anything makes me disappointed that Battlefield 5 didn't get the same support longevity. But nope, we get another season of 2042. Yeah, when I say support longevity, I'm not talking actual content amount, because the live service model and delivery for 2042 has been beyond pathetic. But if Battlefield 5 had been supported for another year, with another DLC or drop as large as the Pacific for the Eastern Front, that would have been absolutely incredible. That being said, Battlefield 5's live service model was also extremely disappointing. Regardless, when it comes to gameplay, there's so many little cool things that Battlefield 5 does well, in addition to how it handled some of the larger, more substantial Battlefield staples, such as destruction. 5 features extremely impressive micro-destruction effects, snow and debris falling off a roof, branches and shrubs getting blown away by shockwaves, terrain deformation and craters, and it's a shame that DICE and their marketing failed to really project just how awesome this new development in tech made the environments feel as far as reactivity. The reworks to 3D and 2D spotting were some of the best changes made to that system since its inception, with class-specific spotting mechanics, an overall nerf to 3D spotting, and UI elements informing players when they were spotted. These were all fantastic additions, of course nowhere to be found within 2042. The vehicle mechanics with multiple disable areas and damage models, limited ammo and supplies, resupply, flying and repairs, it really made for some of the most mechanically interesting vehicles in the series, in my humble, infantry-focused opinion. The attrition system, which meant players carried more limited ammo, and only a single self-healing pouch that could be resupplied, while pretty over the top initially, after some updates became what I thought was a very unique and interesting mechanic, forcing much more teamwork and emphasizing squad play. Speaking of squad play, squad revives and squad reinforcements and call-ins were fantastic additions to giving you an advantage if you actually stuck and played with your squad and complemented each other as a unit. The list goes on, but you get the idea. With older Battlefield titles, including 5 being a refuge for FPS gaming for me at the moment, any news or updates to these titles is both surprising and exciting, even if it's as something as standard as anti-cheat. Anti-cheat in a multiplayer FPS. DICE truly continues to innovate, but at this point I'll take what I can get, like the Battlefield crackhead that I am. Now if we could get any type of team balancing in the game, that would be the cherry on top. DICE, just please add it. With this news, are you planning on jumping back into Battlefield 5, or did you never leave? Let me know your thoughts on this exciting news below in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. Until next time.